The underlying story, the enlightenment of Rama. Valmiki's book Yoga Vasishta is about Rama awakening to God realization. Through the lectures of sage Vasishta, Rama asks questions and Vasishta gives answers over a 22-day period. This is the same Rama who was an incarnation of the god Vishnu and who is worshipped as God by many in India even today. The subject of the book is a lesson by itself. Even gods forget their identity when they incarnate, and require a God-realized master to wake them up. It is a very long book, about 32,000 slokas, or verses of 2 lines each. V.L. Mitra's English translation is about 1,000,000 words. By comparison, the King James Bible is about 750,000. Valmiki describes 22 occasions when the assembly broke for the evening. The last day was one of confirmation and celebration. So, Vasishta's discourses, sermons, and stories extended over 22 days. At a comfortable spoken space of 120 words a minute, that works out to about 5 to 6 hours of constant dialogue each day. Of course, most of us would be ecstatic to attain God realization in only 22 days. The book itself states that simply reading it can evoke enlightenment. Whoever hears and attends to these discourses of Rama and Vasishta is sure to be relieved in every state of life and be united with God after his release. Reading this Vasistha Maharshi is sure to produce the knowledge of self-liberation in its reader even during his lifetime in this world. There was never better scripture than this, nor is any like this now in existence, or likely to be in fashion in the future. This is the best among the principal works of the scriptures. It is easily intelligible and delightful. There is nothing new here, only what is well known in spiritual philosophy. Let a man read the many stories contained in this book with delight. He undoubtedly will find this book the best of its kind. Yet, among Vasishta's or Valmiki's praise for the book, it also recognizes that it may not be to everyone's taste. Should this scripture prove distasteful, owing to it being the composition of a holy sage, then the student may consult the sacred scriptures to perfect his spiritual knowledge. The timeless and historical Yoga Vasishta. Some say Rama lived about 10,000 years ago. Traditionally, he is thought to have lived during the Treta Yuga, the age of silver, which lasts over 1,000,000 years. We are now in the Kali Yuga, the dark age of iron, which lasts almost 500,000 years. In between Treta Yuga and Kali Yuga was the Dwapara Yuga, the age of bronze, which lasted over 750,000 years. Sage Vasishta is an ancient yogi who was born from the mind of Brahma, God the Creator. Sage Valmiki, to whom the writing of the Yoga Vasishta is attributed, is also a yogi of ancient times. So, the Yoga Vasishta has its roots in ancient times. The subject of the book may be exceedingly ancient, but the book itself is set in medieval India. Vasishta is the name of a family or class of Brahmin priests who served royalty in India for centuries. Valmiki is the name under which another great work was written, the Ramayana, the 24,000 sloka epic of the life of Rama. The Yoga Vasishta is generally believed to have been written down in India sometime between the 11th and 14th centuries AD, only 7 or 10 centuries ago. The Ramayana dates back to the last centuries before Christ. Yoga Vasishta refers to various schools of Indian philosophy, Buddhism, and Christianity, specifically the resurrection at the second coming, which establish its age in conventional history. The written Yoga Vasishta and Ramayana are much more recent than the traditional dates for the events they describe, so there is no need to believe that the original Vasishta or Valmiki actually wrote the versions we have now. Yoga Vasishta itself teaches that time and space do not really exist, and even Sage Vasishta and Sage Valmiki, the original ones, have incarnated as themselves many times over. Among many other qualities, Yoga Vasishta is a book written by priests in the service of royalty, designed to teach princes how to live and rule. It abounds in stories of enlightened rulers, the wars they waged, and the lands they ruled. It constantly praises the Brahmin caste and encourages the royal caste to donate generously to all Brahmins. Despite its dated style and context, and sometimes questionable or inapplicable social values, the book remains exceedingly timeless. The organization of Yoga Vasishta. Yoga Vasishta is stories within stories within stories. The entire book is a story. Valmiki telling his student Bharadwaja what Vasistha told Rama within a story. Valmiki repeating the story to King Arishtanemi within a story. The divine messenger telling the story to a celestial nymph named Suruchi within a story. Sage Agnivesya telling the story to his son Karunya within yet another story. Sage Agastya telling the story to his student Sutikshna. It begins in this context with the fourth verse and ends in this context almost 1,000,000 words later. Yoga Vasishta is divided into 7 books. It would seem to end with Book 6, Part 1, where Rama attains enlightenment, and that book concludes with, "Thus ends the Maharamayana of Sage Vasishta and spoken by Valmiki, relating to the boyhood of Rama and consisting of 32,000 slokas." Actually, Book 6, Part 2 is required to bring the verse count to about 32,000. Then Book 6, Part 2 begins as if the end of Part 1 never happened. This seventh book concludes with another celebration of Rama's enlightenment. To quote, "Here ends the Maharamayana of sage Vasishta with its continuation by his recorder Valmiki, and the speech of the celestial messenger at the latter end of the book on Nirvana, the ultimate extinction of the living soul." The two parts of Book 6 suggest that the entire book's organization is anything but obvious. Book 1 is about Rama's dissatisfaction with everything the world has to offer. Only 15 years old, Shivabala Yogi said he was only 8. Rama is unusually mature for his age. This book is entitled Vairagya, or detachment. Constantly throughout all of its 7 books, Yoga Vasishta emphasizes that detachment or lack of desire is the essential preliminary to spiritual awakening. The setting of Book 1 is the same as all other 6 books. We are in the court of King Dasaratha, the father of Rama. Not only are the nobles and Brahmins of the kingdom gathered, but also sages, spiritual masters, gods and demigods from this mundane world and the many spiritual worlds. This is an example of another constant emphasis throughout the book: the need for the aspirant to keep company with the wise and to listen and reflect upon their teaching and the meaning of the scriptures. Book 2 is about the qualities of the aspirant who longs for liberation and enlightenment. It introduces themes that permeate the rest of the book: dispassion, control over one's desires, company of the wise, study of the scriptures, and self-inquiry. The titles of the remaining 5 books provide the reader with little guidance. Book 3 is entitled Creation. Book 4 is on existence. Book 5 is about dissolution or abiding in stillness. And Book 6 is on Nirvana or liberation. It's Part 2 labeled The Latter Treasury. But the contents of all but the first book are permeated with the need for dispassion and abandonment of desires, creation and its existence and dissolution, and the nature of nirvana or self-realization. All these subjects are intermingled repeatedly throughout the book.